Well, good morning, gang. And so it begins. I'm here at Climbers Bivouac, which is the parking area and trailhead for the beginning of my ascent to the summit of Mt St Helens. It was a pretty amazing drive getting here. Beautiful scenery, and then as you turn up Mt St Helens, there is what feels like just a logging road. It's gravel and really rough and bumpy for several miles, and then all of a sudden you come to the Climbers Bivouac area, and it's this beautifully paved parking lot. And it's awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and get registered. My gear's all ready. I'm gonna sign in, get my permit hooked up to my pack, and head out on the trail. I'll see you guys on the other side. Wish me luck. Good morning, everyone. I know you can't see me, or at least can't see my face, but I wanted to show the sunset in the background. I've made it to the 4,800 feet level, and so down there below me, where you can see the trees, that is the Ptarmigan Trail. That's the trail that takes the first 2 miles through forested area. I am at the edge of the tree line now, so the trees are tiny, 10 feet at most, and sparse, and then I should hit the rock and boulder field shortly after that. But check that out. That's incredible. Beautiful sunrise. Couldn't have asked for more. You can't really see, but way off in the distance there is Mount Hood, just off in the mist. So kind of hard to catch, but I was the third person on the trail this morning. I started at 4:45, and there were 2 people in front of me, and I saw a whole bunch of people behind me suiting up. I know at least of a group that I've talked to who's was coming right behind me at 5. So my guess is they'll be catching up to me soon, because I'm going slow and steady. I don't want to rush this. All right, so I'll check in again when it gets a little more light, and we hit the boulder fields. All right, see you there. All right, so the sun is almost up on what's called Monitor Ridge, and adjust my camera, hold on. I'm on Monitor Ridge, which is a pretty long, a little out of breath. I'm doing okay though, which is a pretty long rock boulder field with an edge to it. You can see kind of coming up a lot of that, and then in the background you just, well, no, you really can't, but there's I think it's Mount Adams over there, right behind us, right behind me. So that first section of the hike, going through the woods, was pretty easy. It wasn't very intense. The incline wasn't too bad. The trail was well marked, fairly easy to follow. Even in the dark, I had my headlamp on, and they have reflective markers up on the trees, so you can see quite a ways ahead of you with your headlamp, which was really nice. About a mile in, halfway up, I was walking And I had been kind of stomping and making sure I was hitting the trail pretty hard with my poles. Just, you know, I want to make noise. I'm by myself. I don't want to surprise any animal on the trail. And I'm walking around this corner, and I just turned my headlamp a little bit, and probably about 20 yards or less off the trail, the brightest set of eyes I've ever seen. And for a second, I thought it might be a trail marker. So I didn't really look, and then I stopped. I took 2 steps back, turned towards the woods, and focused my headlamp on it. And I think every hair on the back of my neck stood up, and my heart just stopped for a second. It was bright, bright eyes staring right at me. And I mean right at me. Now, you have to understand where we are. Dark means dark. So it was very unnerving. The good thing was I stood still for a second, and after a minute or two, the headlamp caught the rest of it. It was a deer. It looked like a white-tailed deer. Pretty good sized female. But she looked at me for a minute, turned away, and just kept strolling along in the other direction. Needless to say, after that, I started being a little louder. I think I sang the entire album, Counting Crows, August and everything after, or at least every lyric I could remember, and banged on my canteen for the next mile until I left the tree line. So the good news is, on the way down, it'll be nice and nice and bright. That's incredible. You got to see this. I'm gonna put my poles down. I keep stopping to take pictures. I can't help it. Look at this. I kind of just want to sit here for a while. It's amazing. All right, well, I'm hearing the first sounds of other hikers coming up behind me. I was passed by one. She was mountain goating up ahead of me, so I let her pass because I'm taking this nice and slow. For 2 reasons. One, I don't want to hurt myself or burn myself out, but I also just want to savor this. 6 months building up to it. I want to look at every rock on my way up. But it looks like behind me we've got some people. They'll catch up in probably half an hour or so if I go at this pace. So I'm going to keep going here. I'm just about to turn the ridge and start going up again. I've got another probably 1.5 miles of this, and then we'll be hitting the ash field pretty soon. So I'll take a break in a minute and check back in with you. All right, now I got to go up that. Whew. All right, catch back in a second, or a few minutes. Hey guys. So it's been a little while since I've been on. I hit the Boulder field, and the first probably 2/3 of it, I catch my breath, are mostly trail, narrow trail, lots of boulders to step over. But the final third is almost no trail, and it's really just giant boulders that you have to pick your way across to get to. So as you can see behind me, you can probably see some of those folks up there. They passed me up when we were at the break. We took a break down below. If you've ever seen pictures of that seismic station that they installed up here with a big solar panel on it and a satellite antenna, we all took a break there for a while. So I took a little longer, took a snack, stretched out my legs a little bit, and then started tackling this. So this is kind of the start of the ash field, although it's really an in-between. It's not the pure ash that's up there. And you can kind of see it up there right at the rim. It's a lot softer. This stuff right here, it's gravel, kind of like gravel driveway, but you're going at a super steep incline. So you roll back just a little bit every time. The good thing is, I'm actually pretty high up. And if you look way off in the distance, the valley over there, we're above those clouds. So we're in between. I don't know, they're not quite stratus clouds. I'm not quite sure. But those clouds over there are way down in the valley, down by the river. You kind of see a piece of it. So we're at altitude, and it's definitely starting to kick my butt. There's a couple of glaciers over here, small ones. It's summertime, so they're almost gone, but those are the remnants. And then actually this Friday night, Saturday, they're calling for a bunch of snow up here, so those will start to pack back down again. Man, should have packed an oxygen tank and a couple of Sherpas. All right, back at it. I'm going to try to hit this gravel and make it to the ash field. I'll check back in when I get to the top. I don't know how. I really don't, but I made it to the top. That's the last mile just sucks the heart out of you. It was tough. The ash field is more like loose gravel, mixture of gravel and sand. Every step you take, you slide a little bit back, so you're walking twice the distance to get up here. I'll show you some of the things I can see. There's Rainier in the background. There it is. That's Mount Rainier. Over there is Mount Adams. Off in the distance is Mount Hood. Way off in the distance is Jefferson and the Sisters, and then nothing over that way. That's the summit, the actual peak. It's a few feet higher than where I'm sitting right now, but for the most part, we are on the crater rim. So let me turn this around and show you what it looks like. All right, now the hard part, going back down. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break for a little bit, grab my lunch, rehydrate because I was getting a little dehydrated on the way up, and start making my way down the ash field. Shouldn't be as bad going down that. It's the rocks and the boulders that'll be rough. So, all right, I'll check in when I get back to the radar station. Hey, well, I made it back down to the tree line, and there's a lot I didn't get to say at the summit. One, with about 800 feet left, I almost turned back. The last bit of climb after you do the boulders, you're just so exhausted, and you hit this perfect 45-degree or greater incline of ash and gravel and sand, and it is the most difficult thing to walk in I have ever experienced. And it's that way for a mile and a half, which you might as well be hiking 10 miles, because it was just absolutely it was mind-blowing. And you had to take 10 steps just to stop and take one breath. So you couldn't get a lot in one stretch. And everybody was like that. The whole line of people going to the summit, there's about a dozen of us. We were going, we'd all take about 10 steps and stop and breathe for about 10 more seconds. And then you try and keep going again. But every ridge you'd cross over, there'd be another one. And it was disheartening. It sucked your energy, it sucked your emotions out, and you just didn't want to go on. And I thought really hard about turning around, but I kept seeing the guys in front of me, and they were just a group of friends who were down visiting from somewhere. We chatted for a little while, but they kept going, and so I kept going, and I just kept walking in their footsteps, and eventually I crested that last little bit and made it, and it was unbelievable. It was beautiful. So I stayed up there for about 45 minutes or so, had lunch, and just rested. Took a couple of ibuprofen and a couple of Tylenol preemptively, and my knee has been pretty good coming down. I'm now on what's called Ptarmigan Trail, so I only have about a mile left in my car. So I'll check in when I get there. See you in a few minutes or an hour. Well, I made it back to my car. The forest trail, once it got out of the rocks, was nice and smooth, a little bit of rolling incline, not bad at all. But I have to say, that was one of the most incredible trips I've ever had. Almost got killed by a demon deer. It turns out it was an elk, I was told later. Try and tell what those things are in the middle of the night when they're staring at you and kill you. I thought I was about halfway, and it was really just the beginning of rocks on the regular trail. at about 4,800 feet, or the summit trail, and then climbed rocks for hours, exhaustingly, and legs spent. And that's just when the ash field started. And I stayed hydrated. I did pretty good with that. I tried to eat a little bit along the way. It's hard because when you eat, you get thirsty. And so it just made my thirst worse. So I tried to drink more. I ended up meeting a volunteer who's hiked this thing 14 times. He was up at the summit with us. And he had a walkie-talkie, and I felt good because I could see him most of the way up and down that really dangerous part. Because coming down the ash field, it was really, really steep, and it was just like it was pebbles and sand. So, you know, you had to watch for your step. Every step you took, your foot would slide at 18 inches, and you'd have to really watch where every step was. Thankfully, I had my mountain poles, my trekking poles, and they caught me a couple times. Towards the end of that trail, you know, I did fall and scuffed myself up a little bit. There was a narrow part of the trail that was just hard rock underneath with pebbles and sand on top, and I slipped right on my rear end and scuffed myself up, and probably have some big bruises on my knees and my rear end. But other than that, survived. You know, I got to the end of Table Mountain and thought, I really don't want to do that trail again. Maybe it was partially because my knees hurt so bad, but I would do this again. Not for a while, but I would actually do this again. The top half is really kind of scary because most of it, there's no actual trail. You're just scrambling over boulders and finding your way across the ash fields to the summit, which is right on the edge of going down into the crater. I mean, you'll see the pictures, or you saw them already, and it's very dangerous up there on top, and it's very narrow. So, life-risking feat, goal accomplished. I'll put it on my bucket list and add it up there for my 45th birthday. Anyway, I'm gonna go get a beer, and I'm probably going to soak my feet in Epsom salts for a week. That sounds good. Thanks for coming along with us. We hope you check out this trail. If you're in the area, you got to at least check out the base part of the trail and see what you think. It's a beautiful area. Thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you next trip. Bye.